Every day of the week?
We're gonna ramp it up.
Ramp it up.
Well, I am screwing away, getting the paneling taken off. One thing I didn't think about till I pulled a few panels off is labeling them. Now I'm labeling every single panel because I took the first few off and was like, okay, where am I gonna put these back? I actually had to shut the heater off because, and I'm in a t-shirt, because it is hot in here. That little heater heated it up here so quick. It's about 28 degrees out here in Wisconsin, and I am in a t-shirt in this trailer. So we are going to keep going here and get the rest of the paneling off. I bet I got a quarter of it off now, or more than that, a third of it off now. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Mule Fabrication. I am back working on the crawler hauler for the Hero Jeep, and I am starting. I got everything stripped out of here. I didn't film much of it because it was kind of boring. And now I'm working on fitting up this 1-inch XPS foam board for the insulation. I've been cutting it with a table saw, and I'll show you that. But one of the things I'm running into is that I thought I'd be able to just rip them all to length, and that'd be good. But all these are all different spaces. I mean, that's 12 5/8, 14 1/4, 14 1/4, 14 1/2, 14 3/4, 8 1/2. So I've been having to go back and forth, resetting the table saw, ripping these, because I want these to be a nice tight fit in here, so less can come through, because I don't want to have to foam-fill all this stuff. So I'll show you what my setup is for the table saw. It's probably the most non-OSHA approved table saw setup, but you know what? It's cutting this stuff and it cuts it really nice. So way better than trying to scribe it and cut it with a utility knife and then bust it, or you know, some people are using hot knives. This just makes a nice straight clean cut. But let's go. So here's this table saw I got. It's cheap, or it was free, so yeah. And it doesn't, the on and off switch doesn't work, so you just got to plug it in. And I basically doesn't have an offset on it, so I just bolted this stuff up and clamping spacers in there to get the right distance for the sheet. So this is set up for 14 1/4 right now. Yeah, the on and off plug off right there. And I will set up and I will show you guys how easy this XPS foam board rips with this. Let's go. First step, turn on the saw. I figured out the table saw trick with this XPS foam stuff when I was redoing some stuff in my house for cutting this stuff up for in the basement. Yeah, let's move this in the trailer and show you how we're fitting these in. So with some of these longer ones that aren't over the wheel well there that stop, that part goes down into the trailer. So I have been shoving this piece of the foam as far down as I can before it goes up and then tucks up under that trim piece. So I'm gonna set up and I'm gonna show you how I'm fitting these in. See how nice of a tight of a fit I want. You want it nice and tight because that's less heat coming through, and then you know you can avoid using foam-fill. We'll have to use foam-fill in a few spots, like probably in that crack in between those two beams, just because trying to cut this foam into there is kind of hard to do, especially since it, you know, you can see it tapers. It's only a 1/2 inch down there and it's 1 inch up there. So cut this one down, fit it in there. Other nice thing about this XPS paneling is it's a vapor barrier also, so you don't have to worry as much about that. 75. And for cutting these short parts, I've just been measuring, scoring, breaking it. Right there. Scoring it with the razor knife. Popping it off. Get it in there. There's a nice tight fit. So I'm going to work on this. I'm going to get all these walls done, and then I will come back and I'll show you guys how I'm doing the ceiling, because that's going to be a whole nother challenge. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet, but filming me put in every board here is way too repetitive. So I'll be back when this is all done, and we will keep going from there, guys. So I got the majority of the walls done. There's a couple spots I got to touch up, but I've been working on the roof now, and it actually works out pretty good. A full 8-foot sheet pops in there really nice right under these lips here on here. So I will show you how I pop those in on one. This is the same thing as the walls, which are a pain in the butt. Each one of these is a different width, so I went up and marked them all and then ripping them separate on the table saw. So I will set up and I will show you how I'm popping these in place, and then once I get all this insulation in, I will show you what I'm going to be doing about a couple of these little spots here, and then we will be putting sheeting back up. Let's go. Alright, so see what I got here. What I'm doing is like just perfect for an 8-foot sheet. So I get one side started there. See, that's the thing. See, this side fits in nice, right where I took my measurement. This one's a little tight up here. So we'll work that one in. These right, even though this trailer is not straight as all at all. Maybe we can push these all right up in place without having to glue or fasten them at all. See, it sags a little bit because it's a little looser on this side, but once I put that roof sheeting up, that'll all hold that up in place. That's how I'm doing the roof. So I'm going to finish this roof up. I'm going to finish the little pieces in the wall. I'll show you how I'm sealing up all the little tiny parts. And then we will be going on to putting the sheeting up, which will be fun. I labeled all these, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt to put them all back up and line all the screw holes up. But hey, we're making progress. This is taking way longer than I anticipated. All right, guys, so we got all the foam installed in the trailer, and this was not a fun job. This was really boring and tedious, trying to get all the foam to fit, you see, in tightly as best you can. Seal it up as much as you can, because each one of these studs is all a different measurement, and each one had to be cut separately. Some things I'm going to do next is, so these corners of these trailers, it's hollow with a piece of trim. I'm not going to bother filling that, and same with up here with anything, because the right way to do it would be to spray foam it. But for a trailer like this that I'm just going to be staying in a couple nights, maybe 3-4 days at a time, I'm not too concerned about losing a little heat or being a little bit inefficient. If this was a tiny house or some trailer that I was going to live in, of course I'd be spray foaming every little piece. But I have foam cannon. I do have to fill in some little spots. I discovered these when I redid my house. They are so much better than the regular cans, and the cans of foam have way cheaper, and then you can screw them on and screw them off. But the last one I bought, I really screwed up because I didn't realize you needed this foam cleaner stuff. So don't use one of these foam guns unless you have a cleaner can, because I thought I could just, I'll just spray it out with brake clean and call it a day and reuse it. That doesn't work. I tried everything, gasoline, brake cleaner, everything to clean it out. So I got myself a new one. So we're gonna go around, we're gonna fill some of these minute gaps, and then sheeting's going back up, and I got some sheeting for the ceiling too. And then this thing is gonna be insulated. I think we're gonna go on to flooring. I'm gonna be putting the mini split in this. Making fold down beds. That's the goal for this year. This thing is going to be heat, AC, and sleepable, and everything else is going to come later. So let's get to it. This is one of those minute gaps I was talking about. I'm not going to put a piece of foam in there, so you don't have to put a lot in here. This stuff really expands. Alright, this is the most important part after you're done filling all the little gaps with the insulation. You got your foam gun. Never actually used this because, there we go. Because last time I didn't have a can of this stuff. I didn't know it existed. Oh yeah, there's extra foam. Should probably read the instructions. Alright, so basically it says you just pull this until it runs clear. I'm seeing some yellow come out of there. That looks pretty clear. So there you have it. I'm going to wipe it down too. And get ready for the next part of the project. Alright guys, first wall panel is in. I got that whole stack and they are all labeled. So I'm going to get to screwing and get all these wall panels in, and like I said on the other stuff, I'm not going to film all this because it is very repetitive. So I'm going to get the wall panels up, and then I will check back in with you guys and show you what I'm going to do with the ceiling, because this trailer didn't have any sheeting in it from the ceiling. But the sheeting that came on it is pretty simple. It's just that 1/8 inch thin plywood. And I think I'm going to reuse it because it's all cut nice and set up with all the holes in it. So I'm going to use that. Some people might use something else on the interior, but I don't mind the look of it. We might even paint this afterwards. So the other thing with my trailer, I don't know what you guys just have, but it's got these little, let me see, these little groove trim pieces for the edge of the sheets. So it tucks in here, and then the other sheet tucks in from this direction, so you get a nice, basically just a chrome strip seam in between the sheets of plywood. So let's start drilling. Okay, one thing I didn't think about that I'm dealing with now, I'm putting this panel on with the switches for the interior and exterior lights, is I got to, where is it now? I have to cut a hole in the insulation there to make clearance for the back of these connectors. So one thing to look for, I'm running into now. Alright guys, so I got all the sheeting back up. Still got to put the trim stuff on, and I am starting to sheet the ceiling with some of the plyboard I got. So first thing I'm doing is I'm going around and I'm putting a Sharpie marker where each one of these studs is, because when you got them sheets up there and you're trying to figure out where to drill into, it's a real pain in the butt if you got to try to guess or check. So it's easier just to mark these spots before you even start. So I went inside the trailer, I took some measurements, and I pulled down one of the lights, and I got to trim off a little bit of the sheets that I'm going to be using for the ceiling. So I'm going to trim these down, and then we are going to get up there and see how well this one fits. I think it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, me trying to wrestle this sheet up and get it screwed in place. I have a sheetrock jack, which would work perfect, but my dad's sheetrock in his garage right now and's got it. So we're going to try this the old-fashioned way and see what we can do. That actually made a nice cleaner cut than I thought. I was worried that it was going to start chipping up the edges a little bit. All right, let's go. See? I stuck in over there. Oh! I gotta figure out a different way to do this. Alright guys, you saw me screwing around trying to hold a sheet up there. I went and I took my sheetrock jack back from my dad who had borrowed it. And this is the way to go. If you gotta rent one at Menards or Home Depot or something, this makes life so much easier. Even with two people holding the sheet up, it's still hard. So I'm holding these up, lining everything up, and then I'm screwing them in, starting from the center because the roof is bowed a little bit like this for rain. So you want to start in the center, because if you start on the ends and try to work in, then the sheet's gonna want to pull and you're not gonna be able to get it all the way tight. So start in the center and work your way out. So we're gonna keep going on this. Joyous. And I'm just using 3/4 inch self tappers. Go right into the aluminum and screw this in. So one other thing I didn't think of, but it's coming in really handy. Now we went and marked all our studs for the roof. I didn't think about this when I bought this, but these lines in this sheeting helps really nice because I can just follow it with each screw to make sure I'm hitting an actual stud. So just a quick little tip that helped me along the way. If you're picking ceiling stuff, pick the stuff with the lines in it. Makes life a lot easier when you're screwing this up. All right guys, I got all the ceiling hung, and what I did is in the seams of the sheets I went and bought some just 1 inch wide aluminum strips to cover the seam and to hold the sheeting up in place. And then in these corners up here, I went and bought some thin aluminum angle iron to help support the edge of the sheet throughout here. So we still have some trim to put on. As you can see, we're taping stuff off because we're going to paint in here. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. This is how I insulated my enclosed trailer.